cast of Generation Z. First of all, Anita Dobson, come on up. Buket Komur, come on up. Lycurgo, hello. Benthall, come on up, Benthall. Viola Prettejohn, come on up. Ava Hines-Jones. And of course, Johnny Vegas. Has everyone got mics? Have we got what mics? Here we go. We've got some to pass around. Guys, congratulations. How had all of you kind of seen it before tonight? Johnny, was it the first time for you watching it on the big screen?
Yeah, it was.
How did you find it?
Well, I'm kind of still processing. It's what I love about Ben as a director. I can't watch myself back in stuff, but when you're without being like, you know, I'm incredibly like wonderful ensemble cast, you want to watch it for everybody else's performances, but then when you realise you're the only one who's laughed out loud at somebody shoving their hand up the arse of a dog that's being eaten, and you go, I love that kind of, how we can just go from dark to light.
Yeah.
And proper laugh out loud, not laugh out loud to make people go, didn't we do a good job? It's not slapping yourself on the back. It's incredible.
I want to know a little bit about how some of you guys came to the project. Anita, this is such a fun, different kind of role for you. Tell us about kind of what appealed to you about this project.
I'd never done anything like this before. And I thought, at my age, you should try it just the once to see what it's like. And I really wanted to work with Ben Wheatley. Everybody, a lot of friends of mine in the business had said, he's fantastic, you've got to work with him. And yeah, it was a rush.
Oh my God.
I loved it.
That sort of final act of that first episode that we just saw, how was that to film? Like, there's a lot of real intense kind of physical stuff going on there.
It was great, and look at who I had to work with. It's very different to anything I've ever done before, but it's very strange because you watch things like this, and sometimes when it's really gory, you have to turn away sometimes, and it's like, whoa. But doing it is a different ballpark. It's really good fun. And I don't think I really quite realised that. So yeah, for my first time into something like this, it was fantastic.
Buket, how was this whole experience for you? And Anita Dobson is your grandmother as well, right? Incredible.
I know, it is incredible because I think it's, because you go into it thinking it's one thing, you kind of tell yourself, okay, it's a zombie show and that's cool enough as it is. But then it really like taps into so many different things that you kind of feel as a teenager, but then also like our lives now as well. So I think getting to do something so fun, like every page that you're kind of turning, you're like, oh well, okay, it's about this, and then you're like, oh cool, so it also talks about this, and you're like, oh yeah, and this. So then it was just, you had so much variety. Like every day on set, it felt like we were tackling something really cool, but really different. Like you kind of never got bored of what we were doing, and it's kind of what Johnny was saying as well, getting to see everyone else's parts that we weren't there to like witness during filming. Like it really is such an ensemble show, and like I think there's something for everyone in there.
I'm going to say one thing and then I'm just going to let the mic
Please.
go. What I'm now realised watching it is going, I think as a parent, and that thing of being concerned of your kids have got so much to process, so much more with everything online, and that you go, I just think Ben's done a beautiful job of putting that all into something that's a drama, but it's entertaining and it's horrific and it's the stuff of nightmares, and you kind of go, he's managed to do it, but make it watchable rather than just turn your back on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's what's kind of landed with me right now.
It's super ambitious. There is so much going on. Jay, it must have been a bit of a dream as an actor, because you've got kind of comedy, you've got, especially with your character, a lot of real heartfelt sort of drama stuff, and then also all of that kind of zombie action madness as well.
Yeah, that's what I was saying originally, why I like the material, because also what Johnny was saying, Ben's done such a great job of something that is very entertaining. Yeah, the fantasy genre, but also with my dynamic with Tania and Rob, where there's something broken and something very real. So there was a lot of truth within it. But it's funny because I remember me and Robert were talking, and the first few weeks it was something very serious. I mean, the two-hander that me and Rob do together when he's talking about my mum, that's, is really hardcore. And then a few weeks later, it was like, I think I was a bit harsh on you, man. I was like, yeah, it was a bit tough. And then we just, you see, obviously, with this season, we get a bit lighter. And even with the first episode, you see highlights of that. That is just really fun also. Good mix that Ben's done.
Incredible mix. And speaking of Paul, how was this for you? Because you have to spend a lot of the series covered in blood, makeup, running around the woods, whatever else. How was that experience for you?
It was the most enjoyable job I've ever done in my life.
And can I just say as well, this is the first time I've seen Paul like this.
I know you had this moment in the green room where you were like, oh, it's Paul! Yeah.
Yeah, it was just amazing. As an experience for me, an old man, it's just a really, really extraordinary experience because, as Anita was saying, the goriness became enjoyable. It's just quite weird. It's a bit like jumping into water. Once you're in, you actually go, oh, do you know what? It's really fun in here. And the thought of it was kind of, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. This is going to be horrible. Actually, when you actually get in and you kind of go, oh, I've got blood all over my face. I've got this dripping. I'm doing this. And then you suddenly kind of think, yeah, but it's also really good fun. It's quite weird.
It must have
quite
been
strange.
It must have been a long, grueling day each day of the shoot. Was it a lot of hours of makeup?
Yeah, a lot of hours. But the extraordinary. I mean, the extraordinary thing about the prosthetics is that the people who do it are unbelievably skillful. And they kind of sit you down and they go, right, relax. And I literally would go to sleep. I would literally be asleep kind of very comfortable and asleep in the chair, and 5 hours later you'd have this thing on you and it would be done. And it was like a sort of magic trick. And then taking it off, they were so quick and so skillful again. So that was a lesson, an absolute lesson about how amazing these people are. And then, as I think everybody has said, Ben is sort of magic to work with. He's just really, really amazing because he makes you feel capable and safe and able to relax enough to sort of go to different places. Yeah.
I love it, and he's got a big job of writing such a huge range of characters, different age groups, right? Viola, how did you find that Ben kind of, did he nail that kind of the experience, I suppose, for your particular generation, your character particularly, and kind of what she's going through?
Yeah, I mean, I discovered basically throughout the whole thing, the more that I played Finn, I realised quite how similar we were as people, and to the end, I often felt like I wasn't really having to do too much acting. I know that at the beginning we did quite a lot of improv together as us four, and I felt actually I was the only one out of us four who didn't have a family set up, and I think actually not having that was kind of freeing, because I just got to be like a sort of zany, hyperactive, sort of weird know-it-all, which is what I am, but yeah, I found it all very natural, and it's very like quick, snappy dialogue, and I was lucky that that it all felt like something that, no, maybe not exactly what I would say, because that might make me sound a bit psychopathic, but somewhat to what I would actually be like in person.
Ben Wheatley has this knack of making his dialogue often sound quite like sort of really natural, almost kind of improvised. Was everything there for you on the script, or was some of it kind of improv and devised as you went?
A lot of what you see is the script, but I think there are moments of improvisation, and I think in preparation we did a lot of improvisation, and on set we did a lot of improv, and I think that energy, it always like, it fuels the performance, definitely. So anything you take from the improvisation always fuels the takes that you do when they are on script. So I think that the energy from those takes you can see in the takes where we are on script, definitely.
Ava, hello. Hi. This was your first on-screen role, right? Am I right in saying that? Incredible.
Yeah.
Congratulations, first of all. And we don't get to see a huge amount of you in episode
Honestly,
1.
I don't want to reveal anything about my character.
Well, this is the
everyone
thing.
is like-
I know we don't want to spoil too much, but your character, Billy, goes on such a journey, right, as we see after episode 1.
Yeah. Well, I think it starts here, and it also starts with kind of what's going on in the family home that you can kind of see from now on, from episode 1. And it's a real journey about navigating, you know, the circumstances that are going on with this big thing, and her relationship to the army, her relationship to her family, and just trying to save the town, which is obviously a pretty tough job because of where the town is right now, you know. But as a first job goes, I mean, I'm on set with Robert Lindsay, Anita Benthall. It's like I was genuinely put in a little place with all of these experts. So I got to sit and listen, and yeah, it was really amazing.
I was going to say, like, was there that feeling of kind of learning from all of these incredible legends on set with you?
Instantly, it was like I can just sit back and watch. I mean, Robert came up to me, and we have the same agent, which is lucky. So
Amazing.
we had a little bit of a early partnership, and I just got to get like quick tips. But Ben does things so differently from how I've been told. I'm not sure how other directors do things, and he really let us just be free. So I felt like I could also take everything I have and bring it, and it was so welcomed. We kind of, not a lot of the improv made it into the show, but the states of where improv gets you to, all of that made it into the show, because we were so relaxed, we were so playful, and yeah, I think it shows.
I think as well, just that, I've got to say, as a comic, I've always had this thing that I didn't train to act, you know, to be an actor, and Ben puts you in that place, like you say, of a comfort zone, to try something and not be embarrassed to try it. And on this, I'm at that weird point where you're going, you're working with pros that are up here, and you're working with amazing talent. And I don't often say gushy stuff like this, but you're going, feeling accepted by both ends of the acting spectrum was a really lovely experience. I mean, we did have a day in the green room where you were all talking, you're going, I have nothing to relate to what you've all just talked about. I've got nothing. But on screen, feeling accepted by both, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Both ends was just a lovely job. It's the jobs that you, when it comes up, you just go, yeah, doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I mean, you had me alone.
And that is on screen too, right, Johnny? That idea of the kind of the generational divide. You've got the Gen Z, you've got the Boomers, and then you've got Gen X in the middle, right? And it kind of feels like all three are kind of quite frustrated with what they've got at this point in time.
I've genuinely, and I'm not lying about this, I'm a bit zombie obsessed. So in Richmond with my son, we had two plans. One was to hotwire a boat and raid Sainsbury's, should it ever happen, or Kew Gardens, because they've got the high walls, the gates, and they've got all the seats to be propagate. And we used to plan for all this. And what I loved in this is my generation are the worst. You know what I mean? That we get wiped out, and it's the initiative of youth, and when you're going, what are you doing spending all day on screens? How well, you know what I mean, they seem to cope in comparison to the likes of myself, who'd like to think they're an expert on zombies.
Anita, have you thought about it since making this show? How would you survive a zombie apocalypse? How would you fare?
I think I would just deal with it head on, because the idea of being in a bunker fills me with horror. The idea of getting out of the bunker after the apocalypse has ended fills me with horror. So you might just as well greet it head on. That's my take on it.
I think it's a good idea. Why not? You've got nothing to lose.
Do you know what? Things happen to you in life. You can't run away from them. They're gonna get you. So
You've got to run away, the zombies.
Yeah. And I really started to identify with Janine because she doesn't want to go back to being that weak, invisible person that she was. She's been given a power and a strength and a future and a chance at immortality. So she's going to take it. And it's funny because when I started out, I thought, oh, this is all wrong, isn't it? It's all terribly wrong. But then I started to think, no, actually, if it were me, I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't say, okay, so kill me because I'm a baddie, you know, and it's really not on. I'd say, do you know what? Stay in this room too long, I will eat you. End of.
Excellent. Buket, how was the kind of physical side of it as well? You know, like there's a lot of kind of people saw in that first episode, even kind of stunts and that kind of thing. Did you have people coming on and playing different people for that, or did you kind of have to get trained for any particular kind of physical elements of the show?
Yeah, so we did have an incredible stunt team who kind of like made us really comfortable with everything that we were doing. But I think it was quite a crazy shoot because we were shooting it all out of order. So from across 4 months, it was kind of like, so the scene that you see at the start of episode 1, the house party, that was literally our first scene that we shot. And then on the second day, it was like episode 3. Stuff has gone down, and we were kind of like in the deep end. But it was, I think, in terms of physicality, what I found really inspiring, and I think getting to watch the parts that we didn't film with the older cast, it's so cool because I think with age comes confidence as well. So getting to work with Anita, like our scene at the end of episode 1, and how physical and big and kind of like fun it was really inspiring to see people be so free in their kind of bodies. And like, you know, for 4 months we were kind of just scrambling around in the forest trying to like survive this zombie apocalypse. But I think watching the show as a whole, it was really cool to see the incredible stuff that our older cast got to do. That was my favourite part of it, I think.
Jay, how was it like, you guys have got such amazing kind of chemistry, particularly between you and your age group in the show, you know, like were you all very sort of tight-knit off screen as well?
Yeah, man, we had a good time. I feel like it's a shame that Lewis isn't here because the man would make me laugh every single scene. He really is brilliant. But yeah, I guess from the moment that me, Buket and Lewis, Viola was in the other chem read, we really got on and we had a good time. And Ben just allowed us to play and improv, and I feel like we got closer within those moments. And also no dogs were harmed during the course of the
That dog scene, I mean, Paul, how do you think sort of Channel 4 audiences sitting in their living room are going to find that on Sunday night?
I absolutely hate to think how they might. I mean, Ben is definitely ill. But I mean, it's extraordinary. But he's so cheeky, you know, because during that scene, the first thing he said was, okay, well, just lie there and let the dog come up to you and try and make friends with it. And just try and make friends with it and try and make friends with it. So I did, and I've had dogs all my life. I'm a dog lover. And so this little puppy came up and was kind of saying hello, and I was going, it's all right, everything's okay, it's okay. Come on, that's it. And I was just kind of making real friends as best as I could. That's me. And so then he said, okay, now kind of try and grab hold of it, and, you know, and of course it then immediately went, what you doing? Go, you know, and tried to get away. And what I hadn't realised was that he was filming all that bit of me making real friends with it. So, and he hadn't told me that he was going to be filming that, but I think he sort of knew in his head that that's probably the only time that dog is ever going to trust me. Because as soon as I try and grab it, it's definitely going to try and get away.
Mm-hmm.
which is exactly what happened. But it's a real lesson.
Yeah.
It's a real lesson in acting is that if you're going to try and make friends with somebody, really, really, really try and make friends with
Mean it, yeah.
Yeah, really, really, really make friends with someone. So, yeah, that bit was good. And then, of course, you get given this kind of puppet that is cold and slimy and
You got to put your hand
weird,
through and
weird,
various
so
other
weird,
things.
so weird. But I'm channel.
Walking the dog.
I was just going to say, I want to be.
Comes out.
I
We
know.
walk the dog every morning,
Oh,
and our dog, and we meet a lot of cockapoos.
oh God.
And,
I know it's going to be.
What are
it's
those
going to be
dog
very
walkers gonna
sad.
think?
I know.
I
I'm
think
sort
they'll be terrified of you.
sort of horrified what the reaction is going to be, but you know,
What do you guys? I want to.
When you go to the park the next day, the amount of people who are going to be pulling the dogs.
Exactly.
They are.
There's so much kind of eating of flesh and that kind of thing as
Yeah.
well. What were you
Yeah.
actually eating? What were you putting in your mouth?
Well, okay, so bits of plastic, bits of rubber
Uh-huh.
that were coming off, and then eventually I said to the props guys, I said oh God, so 40, 50 years ago I did a play called Thyestes at the Citizens Theatre in Glasgow, and we had to eat a baby on the stage.
He's an old hand.
It's just,
he's a pro.
and we decided that the only way of really genuinely doing this was to stick bits of Mars bar and Twix and stuff inside this model of the baby, so you could actually break something off, put it in your mouth, and genuinely eat it. So in some of the scenes we had, I said to the props guys, I said, could you get us some Twixes and some stuff like that, and we'll just put them in to all these bits, and we were literally biting Twixes out of the legs. That picture there, wherever it is, that one is there's a Twix in the elbow.
Delicious. I love that.
So yeah, it's very. I mean, who'd be an actor?
I know. Viola, one of the moments, I don't want to spoil too much because it's in a future episode, but one of, I think, the most gross moments of the series, you're nodding, you know what I'm probably talking about, is a moment where you have to eat something that you have regurgitated. How was that? Because that, I mean, looked really grotesque.
It was my favourite thing to film, the entire thing. I love fake vomiting. It's one of my favourite things to act, because you can really try and get the perfect amount of splashback and the noise. It's like an art form of perfecting how gross you can make it.
Wow.
So, and actually the thing that they made me eat, because they made me a loo, my own personal fake toilet, to eat out of. And it was grapefruit coated in tomato juice, which is actually a surprisingly lovely combination. It's very, it's very refreshing, and it's a mix of sweet and savoury and sour. So it was actually quite pleasant. And it was kind of at the beginning of the day, so it was grapefruit. It's a bit like a breakfast thing, half grapefruit in the morning, just a bit of tomato juice, like a Bloody Mary. So yeah, it was actually one of my favourite things. And then when we were doing another scenes that I'm not allowed to talk about, but it was another scene, and they actually made the flesh out of some raspberries and blueberries and banana.
Wow.
So that was also
delicious.
Lovely. It was actually really nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Ava, I heard that you are very anti-gore, anti-horror.
I don't like gore. Honestly, when I read the script, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. You know what the worst day was? It was actually seeing Paul fully made up, which obviously you'll see later on down in the episode. I've got trypophobia. I was like, my whole skin was crawling. I was like, I don't know if I could do this scene with you today. But I got way more used to it. And I mean, the SFX on this team was just amazing. You walk on set and you're doing a scene and you think, oh, can I make this half broken off leg be believable? Can I believe it? But it looks so real that you can just go straight in and invest. And I was always armed with a gun on set.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt very safe with all of the I could just bang, bang, bang. And yeah, so all of the zombies were well away from me.
Love this. Johnny, I know that Ben sort of initially conceived the idea, I think, back in 2019, and then COVID happened and it sort of got delayed, and then he tweaked and made changes. We've probably seen even in that episode 1 there were references to the Queen, there were references to Brexit, there were references to COVID. Like, how much do you think COVID, I guess, kind of looms large over this story?
That's a very good question. That should be open to all of us, shouldn't it?
For all of you.
I think it's evident throughout that we've all had a lot of time to sit back and contemplate, and I think especially in the pensioners, that thing of life of I want to live on, and like Anita said, if you lived a good life or a bad life, nobody wants it to end, and how you can cling on to that, and how you can, and I don't think we ever had as much time in our lives to be almost stuck too long in our own minds. And I know I found it difficult to re-engage after lockdown. And I think with this, I think Ben's just had that opportunity to go, there's so many more strands to bring into. I remember years ago, Threads was such an incredible show. And I think with this, what he's done, he's gone, if you looked at it immediately, you'd think, oh, it's a show about kids surviving a zombie, but it's not. He's brought in every generation of what everyone's going through, about how Brexit's affected us, how this has affected us, and he's made it like a horror community.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think it's glad that it was. I'm grateful it was put back, because as Ben's had no time to play with it, it's just got more complex. But the complexity of it's lovely because nobody's patted on the head.
Yeah.
We're all given a first sort of say in events, and yet there's this very dangerous. I do love that line about going, she fucking voted for it.
Yeah, it's so good.
The Brexit thing it's quite, it cuts straight to the quick sometimes, where I can't have a conversation. Certain people now, you just go, I can't talk to you. You voted for Brexit, I'm really sorry, but I cannot.
Yeah, it really captures that divide,
every now and then,
doesn't it?
Well, he'll spar with you, and then every now and then you'll just get that proper punch, and you go, yeah, that's the one.
Exactly.
Please, anybody else?
Buket,
it's so little, I don't want to answer them.
Buket and Jay, I'm keen to hear from you guys what you think of that. Like, Jay, did it capture for you that kind of that experience of what your generation went through over the last few years during the pandemic and everything else?
Yeah, I think what Ben's done so incredibly well is that he's captured like both like accuracies within both generations. I think there's a real feeling in the older generations that the country is quite different now, and they don't really recognize the things that they see, and things are changing at such a rapid pace that they feel kind of left behind. And there's this real drive to kind of that you see in the show of like, well, we deserve this and we've worked so hard, but then on the other end of the spectrum, like a lot of young people are really struggling with like cost of living crisis. Like young people can't find affordable places to rent. Like uni fees are so high. Like Kelly's worried about going to uni, and she has to help her parents out with money and stuff like this. So it's genuinely what real British teenagers are struggling with at the moment. But then he's done such a great job of what Jay said, making it entertaining at the same time. It's not really forced down anyone's throats. It's not trying to be political. He's just really captured genuinely what's going on in the country in like a really fun way that's also like kind of nice and easy going to watch, even though it's so gory. I think a lot of people will feel quite like heard and seen by the series. You've got grandparents, you've got parents, you've got kids, you've got so many different kind of lives and generations. I think that Ben's miraculously managed to include in a really great way.
I think he does. sorry, it's ADHD, I interrupt, he doesn't preach. The minute he gets preachy, you turn off. He doesn't. When you shine a light on something and you observe, and you feel like you're observing without judging, that's what Ben does brilliantly.
And it's so fun as well, isn't it? I think that's the thing. He makes it really fun. Like Anita, your character, talking about how she's overdue a holiday because she's, you know, like again, like the way in which he kind of he's kind of commenting, but he's kind of having a bit of fun with these different kind of generational divides. I think, isn't he? You know.
Yeah, and I think he was very much inventing stuff on the hoof while we were all working away. I mean, I know that there were bits that he kind of decided to put in that he hadn't thought of, but then he kind of go, oh yeah, kind of bring the camera over here, we'll do that, we'll do that, you run along there, you do that. And you kind of think, he's enjoying himself as well, really enjoying himself while he's making it. It rubs off that on everybody.
He also is a bit of a maverick as a director, because he had his own little camera strapped to his tummy, his little baby, and he would shoot with all the guys and everybody, and then at the end they'd do another take, and Ben would just roam around with his camera and pick up all sorts of little bits of stuff that you might have missed. So while the scene was going on, you might have missed that over there was another little thing happening that was really brilliant. So he didn't miss a trick all the time. I like that, and we had a little bit of improv, didn't we, in our scene the first time we did it, because it was new to us. We were starting working together. So there's a real freedom and a joy that you're contributing. You're not just there to serve a purpose. This is what you do, learn the lines, get on the set, do it, that's it. No, you're there as a part of a whole team. So he's really good at that, isn't he?
I think everything on the set and how you feel as actors all permeates down from the director. How he treats his crew. Do you know what I mean? How people feel about coming into work. It starts there. And the big shock when you first work in TV, when I was like, I thought that director did so much more. He's just telling people what, and you go, no, what he's doing is he's putting belief into, you know what I mean? The actors, he's making the crew want to be the best they can be, and with Ben just never takes it. I worked with the director years ago, and you only have that fear when you don't trust a director, and they go, can you try it like this? And you go, it's going to be awful. And you do it, and you hate it, and he goes, just do it for me. And you go, what? And he goes, there's a Russian proverb, if 9 people tell you you're drunk, fall over, because you probably are. He said, if I get in the edit and it's awful, I swear to you I won't use it. But just do it for me to put my mind at rest, and you do it. And that's the thing with Ben is, you'll try something, but you know he'll absolutely choose the best take. You trust him entirely to go, whatever works on the day works, and you'd never wish it to be any different than what he puts up on the screen.
Love that. Well, we've got a few minutes left. If anyone has a question for any of our panel, raise your hand. We can come around with a mic. Silence. Yes, we've got one hand just here. Just come around to you with a mic.
Thank you. As Rich Johnson from Bleeding Cool. A lot of you guys, well, some of you guys I've known from seeing you at comic conventions recently. Anita and Johnny, you've been to a few as a punter yourself. Are you looking forward to do the Comic-Con circuits if this show kind of goes wide for Generation Z? And how do you think that might go over?
Yeah, I you know what? What's growing on me is I've always gone as a fan. Yeah. And I know actors who now have gone along as subjects and meeting people. We was having this conversation today, I'm going, how sometimes it's great because you get to meet your fans and you get to meet people with no filter. That will come up and go, I love that show, you were rubbish in that other thing. And you go, well, thank you. And you go, no, I just thought you'd need to know. And then you go, now sign 9 of these. And you walk off. And you go, but to engage with it, yeah, and I think there used to be a bit of a snob, you know what I mean, of who's doing that, why are you doing that? And you're going, no, now, being there, and learning more and more about why a show might be appreciated, which we're ideal, we're bringing, you know what I mean, and that's something that you sort of go, I do, like, there's certain projects that you're really proud of, and you go, it is really nice to meet the people, to go, mate, you want to get up and get out of bed and go and make it. And even if something like off the wall, but yeah, doing this, that would be a weird one, wouldn't it?
Anita, would you
What
do
do you
that?
reckon?
Convention
I
circuit?
cannot wait to do a Comic-Con, because a lot of the people dress up. They dress up as characters from different things.
People might dress as you.
cannot wait
Yeah.
to see what they're going to dress up as. To get there on the morning of like 9 o'clock in the morning, and then there's a whole vision of like bloodied individuals coming towards you for an autograph. Going to be hysterical.
Do you know the worst thing about those guys? They go, Johnny, you really made an effort, and you go in, I've just woke up.
Any other questions? Did we see a hand? Yes, we've got a hand up just over there.
Hi there, I'm Emma. I'm a freelance journalist working for The Sun tonight. Absolutely loved it, thought it was brilliant. And great timing as well, because obviously we've got Halloween coming up next week. So with that in mind, Johnny, you mentioned you're zombie obsessed, but have you actually had any supernatural experiences in your life that you could share?
Yeah, but don't lead with this on page 1. I have a ghost in my house.
Tell me more.
I moved in, and it's the first time, and suddenly it was a big house, and I'd grown up in a terraced street, and it was a much bigger property, and I turned up, and it's too long a story. The lady was very embittered over the asking price, and she stripped it out, and she put stuff in skips, so I don't know, why am I saying this to the sun? Anyway, I have a presence in my house, and I've had other people confirm that they've felt something in there, but it's a very warm and welcoming presence. And I found out that the family before it had an exorcism. But I don't think she was a nice woman, so I just don't think she liked company.
I love this. Anyone else on the panel ever had any kind of paranormal experience, anything like that? Just Johnny.
I also once, but it's a bit similar to Sam, I swear to God, once a dog talked to me.
Alright.
But it just said stop following me. It was one of my moody moods, you know, my needy ones.
Yeah.
Come here. Then I realised I'd wandered onto a greyhound track.
Any other final questions? Okay, all right, well, we're going to wrap things up for now then. Thank you all so much for
You've
being
seen the
here.
thing with mushrooms, though. It can happen. There's a thing with mushrooms and spores, and it gets into the ants, and the ants crawl to the top of the tree.
That's
and then
true
that's
horror.
really freaky, so we could just be that far away from an apocalypse. All I'm saying is, if you're going to buy in Richmond, buy up near the big Sainsbury's, because just round the corner there's a shop with just machetes in the front window.
This is it. And I think
I bought well.
this is it. And watch this show. You'll get some good tips as well for survival.
And you wouldn't have to pay, because the lady wanders off often and leaves a cat in charge of the shop. She leaves a cat in charge of a shop that's full of machetes. That's true.
Well,
I'm stuck in this head.
Stop giving the mic back to me.
Thank you all so much for coming tonight. Thank you to my incredible panellists. Join us for some drinks in the bar area after this as well. And Generation Z launches this Sunday. All episodes are going to be available to stream from midnight, and it will be on live.
Who needs
on
9
Channel 4.
machetes?
And it'll be on live on Channel 4 from 9 PM. Thank you. Thank you.